Howdy folks, Athios here, and welcome back to Tyranny. It's time to find out if we are over or under leveled for this area. I doubt we're over leveled. What is here? This just like a house? Yep. We can just take whatever and they're gonna be fine with it. We have denizens. Just what the wound needs. Fatebinder. Don't worry, Master Jaspis will know what to do. Alright. Well. Let's see what we can find all throughout here. We got a big old town to explore. Look at this. Alright, there's Mel, we've talked to before. Trespassers shameless in their cowardice. They sicken me. Barrack. Need to calm down. It's down here. We got the Centurion, a Sun Soldier. It looks like we got like a little teleporter. Maybe useful for later. Have to wait and see. There's Scarlet Chorus here. Excuse me. Alright. Alright, this guy just has a name. It doesn't have merchant in front of it, so let's have a look at you. Alright, so you are part of the Master's Wound. So a weary-looking man observes you through dark, sunken eyes, nodding faintly as you approach. Fatebinder, greetings to you. Though unkempt and draped in disheveled rags, he bows deeply in the style of Northern Tiersman nobility. You observe that his right arm is emaciated and frail, seemingly rooted in place. Rostrum Lenk, son of the late Rostrum Volus. I saw you in the Bastard City shortly after Tunon's arrival. We've come a long way from then, haven't we? He chuckles mirthlessly at the memory. You'll want to speak to Wagstaff or Jaspis before you get too settled in. The former is down by the falls. The latter is in his forge up north of the hall.
On the lookout.
Alright, so he's just telling us where people are, which is fine. What's over here? Alright, this is Wagstaff's.
The really vain tidecasters always have nice reflecting pools. Mine was bigger.
Of course it was. Alright, arranged at angles that recall the sigil of grave light, these crystals shimmer with the collected glow of what little radiance from Tritus grave filters into these depths. Alright, since we're here, might as well talk to Wagstaff. A bearded, weathered figure stands by the pool's edge, eyes closed in concentration. His face, uncharitably weathered from years of sun and wind, is a collection of deep, intertwining creases wreathed by a brittle-looking gray mane. One disapproving eye snaps open as you approach. I followed the shriveled barnacles to find you. By Kairos' swollen tit, you? What of Camberil? Hagravar? Don't tell me you're all that's left. Yeah, let's let him talk. They fought the good fight, but failed to cairn at the well. In defeat, they were fed to the voices of Narat. I am all that's left. How about you? How'd you slither your way here? They're dead. So the militants have fallen, and you're all that's left. Fuck us all. Kairos really has won. And I didn't slither. It was more of a surreptitious crawl. Surreptitious crawl. Speaking of lowly vermin, what are you doing with this lowlife? Do you guys need a moment? A moment? Hardly. I can't think of the last time Wagstaff has kept up his banter for more than a minute or two. Oh. That's the preemie joke. Okay. Ever since you aged into that face of a worn tangerine, we've all had problems keeping things up around you. Speaking of improbable feats of tumescence, is that little apex boy of yours still ramming your stern on the regular? Oh my god. What are we doing? Sure. Let's remain silent. Eldinos died of his wounds from the Battle of the Gates of Judgment. How about you? I can only assume half the reason you're here is to find some new apprentices and fuck them. That's what I'd do. Hmm. Well, we're learning a bit about the Tidecaster School, aren't we? If you two want to reconnect, maybe I can give you some privacy. Reconnect? Ugh, no, please. You have the wrong idea. Seriously, even I have standards. I'm just wondering what this worthless old codger is doing hiding here, of all places. And with so many new friends, you always harped on and on about your legacy. Now's your chance to corrupt a few more minds before senility takes you. Well, yes and no. Yes with the apprentices, but I don't know. I just might stay here. We've stumbled upon something unusual here. Not sure how permanent a solution living here might be, but been trying to make the most of it. But your friend here changes things. The Tidecaster points at you with a scowl. We always knew outsiders would come, but short of Graven Ash showing up, a Fatebinder is about as terrifying a notion as we imagined. I assume someone pointed you towards me to speak for the settlement. If there are matters to discuss, then so be it. I may not like it, but I do lead these people, frankly, only because nobody else can. That stone-straddling fool Jaspos will talk himself into believing he's up to the task, but don't believe his bluster for a moment. Anyway, I'll just ask the question everyone's wondering. What are your intentions with us? Yeah, we're not doing that. Not putting it directly to stored. To justify its existence, the wound must provide material support. From your tone, it's safe to say you're knowingly in violation. Yeah, I can just operate independently. Raises an eyebrow, observing you with unmasked skepticism. Unexpected, Fatebinder. Perhaps your visit was worth the interruption. Making a life without someone breathing down my neck is all I'd ever want. Thank you? He appears genuinely disgusted with his halfway cordial offering, and shakes his head violently to banish the feeling. With a satisfied nod, Wagstaff cups his hands and bellows. The court will extend mercy. Wagstaff's celebratory yell echoes throughout the makeshift village and is answered by distant cries of relief and sobs of joy. Thank you, Fatebinder. I knew the day would come that we'd be discovered, and I imagined a much bloodier scenario. In this regard, I'm happy to be made a fool. Life here in the wound isn't easy. We've always assumed outsiders will bring death, not help. Your leniency is the sort of surprise we needed in these difficult times. And though I never would have guessed this, your arrival may be the sign of good things to come. Oh yes, you need my help. We normally avoid contact with the outside for fear of trouble following us back home. With my duties here, leaving is out of the question, and yet there are matters beyond this walls in need of a solution. I think that's supposed to be these, but anyway. Since I cannot leave this place to handle my own affairs, perhaps I can retain your services. Depends what you have in mind. There's an old rival of mine still out there, a sage named Phoebe. He twists the rope on the end of his belt, grimacing. Yes, we're from rival schools. No, this isn't just a case of an unsettled score. I'd live and let live, but she poses an actual threat to the wound. She has knowledge of my plans to journey north to trace Kieran's path in these mountains, which may expose us. She could bring a slew of homeless sages here, probably followed by a gaggle of spies. It's not worth the risk. She needs to die. His tone is matter of fact, almost casual. The problem is finding her. We've had a mutual contact, Melita, who used to spend this time of the year in Lathan's Crossing. If the two of you are still in touch, she'd be able to point you in the right direction. Okay. We've seen her. We weren't able to talk to her before, but we'll be able to talk to her now. All of Master's wound would be in your debt, most of all. Me. Can I trust in your help? Is she really such a threat? She's a risk to everyone living here. The woman hates me. Having dealings with her in the past was a mistake, and I'll be damned if I let that error ruin all that we've built here. Now that her school is in ruins, she'll view my accomplishments here as research to be appropriated. And while she's at it, she'll engineer a catastrophe for the wound just to spite me. So yes, Fatebinder, I'm sure. How do you know her? Over a decade ago, the School of Tides and the School of Ink and Quill tried, yet again, to discuss peace. She represented her school. I was forced to represent our end of this fruitless meditation. It was all a farce to get to know a few of us, figure out who should be spied upon. Several span later, some of my work was discovered by the sages. Fucking word thieves, every last one of them. Alright, sure, I'll find her. Thank you. This matter has haunted me for quite a while. My stupidity caused the wound to be uncovered. Best not to think of it. You have been unlike other servants of Kairos I've encountered. We are indebted to your patience and reason. One more thing, Fatebinder. If you do kill her, be sure to gather her belongings. Very important. That's the only way I can verify that you found the right sage. It would also, his words falter as he chokes up with a halting smile, it would also mean a great deal to see my old scrolls back, on the off chance she still carries them. It is a petty and vain request, but if you've been robbed before, you probably know the feeling. What else do you want of me? Yeah, that's all for now. Good. Closes his eyes and returns to his recitation. So yeah, a lot of talking. A lot of skills. Insipid moniker. That sounds like a...
Ain't that odd?
Oh. Yep, there we go. There's a portal. Oh no, Bane. Oh boy.
I doubt the Bane care much for day versus night. Guarding this place must require constant vigilance.
Uh-huh. Let's have a look inside here. Interesting. Alright, so it is a thing, but usually it's Banes who come out of there. People don't go the other way around. Get an iron helmet. Curse wandering judges, come to the wound. Think the Fatebinder will turn us back out into that war. Same thing. Yeah, we're not doing that. Who knows whether or not our decision leaving them here is a fate worse than just going back out into the real world. Yeah, give me all that. We'll talk to you here in a second, insipid moniker. Just gotta grab some stuff. Okay, so we gotta do that. Lantry. Okay. Torn strand. Got a bunch of evidence that we've gathered at this point. We do need to speak with Barrack at some point. We'll wait on that. Alright, insipid moniker. Welcome to our little refuge, Fatebinder. You're here to help us keep the wound clear of Bane. Insipid moniker picks at a splotch of dried blood on our greaves. She wears the patchwork armor of the Scarlet Fury. Let's do that portal. That goes deeper into the untamed old walls. We send patrols out to sharpen the beast's claws and lighten the numbers of Bane, but we haven't exactly mapped it. What do you do here exactly? Whatever Wagstaff wants. Guess you can call me an apprentice. I can read, which is more than most can say. He's teaching you our ways. I'm sorry you have a fool for a teacher, but you have been given a great honor. Do not squander it. It's more subtle than the red work of the chorus, but I don't mind a change of pace. So the blue is to honor Wagstaff? Exactly. Fucker iced half of my gang with his spells, so now I fight for him. Those are the rules. In a twisted way, I think the voices would approve, not that his approval is any safer than his wrath. How'd you get the name? Funny story that, she frowns. There's a piece of advice they should give every new chorus conscript. But don't. Huh. Verse belts abruptly before clapping a hand over her mouth and swallowing further chuckles. Somebody made the mistake of asking the voices for a nickname, didn't she? She snickers as she shakes her head. I could have been shits for days or bleeding sores if I waited long enough. Even hindsight would have been more appropriate. So are they constantly showing up like that? Welcome to our headache. The way the Bane come and go, you'd think the teleporters were beaded curtains. Lucky for us, the beasts seem to love killing Bane. They'll put in more hours on sentry duty than any human, and I welcome the extra sleep. Alright, well, bye. And she just vanishes into non-existence. Alrighty, we have another merchant. Got a lot of merchants here. I don't want to talk to them. So, is that a baby beast cub? Oh, it's a beast cub. How cute. There's a couple of them.
Usually you don't see beast men living so closely with people. Not without a pen or someone getting torn limb from limb. Or both.
Alright, the heavy odors of musk and urine loiter around these matted straw nests, making their proximity to the sleeping tents to the west all the more surprising. Yeah, we had to go away from that loudness. Alright, we have Gloom of Dawn. Tread carefully, will not rescue if human falls into water. Yeah, we don't worry about us doing that. We won't do that. Alright. Man, yellow loud. Alright. Oh, man. Look at that. Disfavored. Hello. Tell us, Sophia. A broad-shouldered woman in disfavored raiment dangles against a nearby column. Suspended by her wrists, though still garbed in the iron breastplate of her unit, she is without a helmet and appears unusually at ease in her compromised position. A nearby settler engages in friendly conversation with the disfavored. She peers down at him, listening with dutiful patience. The last lure hooked that trout just fine, but it took the whole thing downstream with it when the knot gave out. I wrapped the line several times, just like you said. You aren't fibbing me, are you, Sophia? What stays your hand, Fatebinder? We must right this injustice immediately. Let's remain silent. This is no time for your games or intimidation. Sorry. Jaspos bronze would be strong enough for trout. No way the hook broke in its mouth. You probably didn't wrap the line around itself enough times. Remember what I said. It's at least 5 twists around before you loop and tie it off to form the clinch. Just try it. It'll work. And if the fish bite, I'll expect you to save some of that trout for me. Ha, you would. I'll give that knot another try. It's too bad you can't just tie the damn things for us. Remain silent. I'd gladly do that, but you know I have to cut you traders down first. At least then I'd have all the fish to myself. You say that every time I come by. At any rate, thanks for the advice. I'll be sure to try again with the light. Until next time, Sophia. The settler throws his head back in a hearty laugh. Good hunting, then. As the settler turns away, the bound soldier takes note of your approach. Tell us, Sophia, to find you in this cesspool of trespassers. He shakes his head. Worry not, we shall release you from this bondage at once. Wait, who the... Barrack, is that you? No, please, leave me be. I am sworn by duty to slay these fools, and sworn by honor to see to their safety. It is easier to have no choice in the matter. So you'd rather stay up there. Even if you set me free, I'm too hungry to fight. It's the only thing I'd have the mind to do. The time will come when I can free myself, and I will grab the opportunity with both hands. She clenches her pale fingers into fists. I'd salute an officer of the court, but I'm somewhat indisposed at the moment. So how'd you end up on that column? A few span back, after Karen was finally declared rogue, the general wanted folks looking for what made Karen lose his sanity, or his loyalty, depending on your outlook. My unit played escort for a team of Earthshakers as they retraced Karen's journey through the tiers. We were headed to the Gates of Judgment and came across a crevasse, which happened to be, well, she gestures upward with her head. A middle-aged woman walks by while clutching a woven basket, giving Telesofia a wave. The disfavored soldier nods in return. Good day, Lucio, Isio, I don't know. She watches the passing settler before returning her attention to you. As a prisoner, shouldn't you be resisting a bit more? I was captured in battle, fair as far. Now my job is to show these dredges of humanity how a citizen of the Northern Empire conducts themselves. Rosei. We paused to investigate, only to find this nest, this hive. Trespassers living with beasts as equals, all of it an abomination. There was no choice but to put them to the sword. We fought well, but our advance fell apart when that coward Argian threw up his arms and surrendered. He broke ranks and left us exposed. If I haven't been knocked senseless, would have executed him myself. Woke up hoisted up on this wall. We've been here ever since. I've been here ever since. So why don't they execute you? They have, in a sense. The beast woman leader of the local pack ordered that I be strung up until dead. Guess he didn't understand Ash's Aegis, so who's laughing now? Nobody wanted to anger the resident Bane hunters, so the beasts must have their way. I've had plenty of time to get acquainted with the locals while I perish. It's almost a pity they're all doomed under Kairos. How are you still alive? Graven Ash protects. The journal's Aegis can sustain us through far more trying circumstances. She maneuvers her shoulders in a dim approximation of a salute. My wrists are mangled, and I've been tired and hungry for longer than I can remember, but I'm far from death's door. The settlers feed me just enough to keep going. She glares down at her dirt-encrusted armor. I'm sure I smell worse than a beastman dung heap, though. Alright, must be going. Bye now. Weird thing. Alright, so we got lots of stuff over here. Got a cloth hat. We have a war mace.
No dice.
We have moonstone. Alright, so one other place to go, right? Alright. Well, they wouldn't weather a strong gale. These tents seem stable enough to offer some privacy to the denizens of the wound. Cots, bedrolls, and woolen blankets lie within. Alrighty. We got Helmet and Glaive.
I don't think so.
So one more person to talk to. Forgebound in this hole. Surely they cannot outfit the Legion from here. Yeah, these Forgebound ain't exactly working for you anymore. Like the Forgebound enclave at Lathan's Crossing, it seems these craftsmen have hewn and set the stones of the old walls into an admirable hearth. Alright, so we got Tonvez. He's got a neat looking winter soldier thing going on there. The forge-bound apprentice stares intently at the amber hide he holds aloft, pounding its surface methodically with a heavy iron mace. The light from the nearby hearth dances across his eyes. As you draw closer, the pungent odors of tanning agent thickens in the air. He turns to you wearing a stoic expression. Is there a problem? You need something? What's your role? It's my third year apprenticing under Jaspos. Between that and trying to keep this settlement running, I'm never short on work. He flicks a chunk of animal fat from his belt buckle and glances around the chamber, frowning. Whenever I can, I slip away to the surface with the woundkin for a good hunt. Caves and hollows aren't meant for the living. Get my materials from the kill, tusk for tools, hide for sturdy clothing. The rest goes to tents, cots, and we haven't even gotten down to the meat. The woundkin, they understand better than we do. I suppose I'm also a napper. Jaspos has to pass down his art, right? But everyone knows my passion and skill is in tanning. How's the apprenticeship been going? Difficult. Don't mistake me. I pledge to follow him, and my loyalty doesn't waver. But I damn well wish we just return to the north as planned. Instead, I'm stuck inside these old walls, surrounded by Bane and branded as a traitor in Kairos' eyes. He scrapes a worn knife against a whetstone, dangling from his belt. Jaspos didn't like my interest in leather working. I think he saw it as an insult to his craft. If I favored it so much, I should have sought apprenticeship with a master of tanning, right? Well, consider that another thing I plan to do when we return north. Truth is, people need my skill with hides and pelts far more than my attempts at napping. Every time I clothe or feed someone and they thank Jaspos, he has less and less to say about it. Now that Argian's apprenticing with him, I think he's content to let me dabble in tanning. Alright, so one of the disfavored joined the ranks. Yeah, there's Argian right there. So, her buddy, right there. Are you a Razor Scout? You have a cool looking outfit. Alright, Isley. With a despondent sigh, the forge-bound smith unfastens the strap around one of her pauldrons and drops the metal appendage to the floor, exposing a muscular figure. She quickly traces a sigil with her ungloved hand and touches a hammer dangling from her smock, frowning as it stubbornly remains inert and unsympathetic to her magical entreaties. She glances up as you approach. Sorry, Fatebinder, my spellcraft hasn't been cooperative of late. I take it you're not here to talk about my preoccupations? Anything in particular you'd like to discuss? She offers a forced, polite smile, but can't maintain it for more than a moment. Do you enjoy working for Jaspos? I do. Jaspos introduced me to napping, and it came easier than pottery, my first craft. If we hadn't fallen in love and married, I might have returned to the north and stayed in Kairos' good graces. She slowly nods, as if recalling a long-forgotten memory. So, Isley and Jaspos are a thing. Okay. What do you do in the forge? I'm Jaspos' apprentice. Have been so for the past few years. She scoops up a small clay pot and spins it between her fingers. Napping wasn't originally my specialty. I apprenticed under Master Erasma back in Lathan's Crossing, but a freak accident meant that she'd take her secrets of the chromatic arts to the void. Jaspos had just finished his work and was returning north for more training with the guild, so I joined him. Long story short, we stumbled upon the wound and stayed. I took on a new trade with Jaspos as my mentor. Alright, so what happened with your hammer? I was embarrassing myself again. Seems like that's my only reliable talent these days. Her cheeks grow flushed as she looks to the ground. I thought it was a competent napper, practically a journeyman in skill. Lately, even the simplest preparatory spells vex me, like that sorry display you witnessed. She raises her eyes to meet yours. Something about this place is hollowing me out from the inside. Whatever forge burns inside grows cold. Let's not speak any more of it. Alright, so there's definitely some hints as to things happening to people down here the longer they stay down here. Alright, there's Arjun, a man clad in frayed remnants of an Earthshaker uniform, focuses intently upon dark stones held in cupped hands. His eyes move from one piece to the next. He hears your footsteps and shifts his gaze to meet yours. Fatebinder, forgive me, I didn't see you. Jaspos has me performing these exercises to attune my senses, to see the shapes hidden within the rock. Flustered, he quickly tugs on the hem of his shirt and straightens his belt. I may not be with the disfavored anymore, but I still recognize a Fatebinder's authority. There's something you need from me? What do you think of the Bastard's Wound? I find myself at home here, even if everything about the old walls seem antithetical to life. If the bane don't kill you, the water will. Without Jaspos, this place wouldn't exist. His eyes move from the churning water to the massive stone walls stretched toward the sky. The old walls have always been invigorating spaces for mages of my ilk. They're like untapped fonts of magical energy, and the ancient masonry inspiring. What was life like to the people that shaped these massive walls? He shrugs, amused. You speak well of Jaspos. Jaspos is many things: teacher, husband, companion. Eugene's gaze turns thoughtful. Did you marry him too? He's teaching me to connect with stone in a deeply personal way. Earthshakers manipulate rock, but we don't feel or shape them with the intimacy of the forge-bound. Alright, so how did you end up with this motley? I'm the odd man out, I know. He motions to his purple-gray garments. After Karen had been declared a criminal, Craven Ash charged us with scouring the Archon's belongings, retracing his path. I was with the group headed to the Gates of Judgment. As we cut west across these mountains, we came upon this place. Of course, my association to Karen didn't make me popular with the Legion. Telesophiae was all too eager to remind me that if Karen's treachery were ever to come to light, all Earthshakers would likely be executed for assumed collusion. She'll forgive me if, after stumbling upon Bastard's Wound and facing insurmountable odds in battle, I decided to surrender rather than join my hateful companions in death. Alright, well, talk to you later. Okie dokie. Big ol'...
Yeah, no.
Alright. We're almost through with everything, right? And then we can finally, take a look inside. There's a farm. Alright, let's talk to Jaspos. A heavily muscled man stands next to a mixed pile of broken floor tiles and smashed boulders. Head bent in focus, sledgehammer gripped tightly in both hands. Without breaking his gaze, he calmly extends an arm out as you approach, signaling for you to wait. In one smooth motion, he whirls the sledgehammer in a precise arc, effortlessly splitting a large green-gray boulder in two. He smiles and lets out a pleased chuckle before turning to greet you. Ah, Fatebinder, that explains the ruckus. His voice is deep, a confident baritone that easily carries through the open air. Forgive my rudeness. Masters of the craft rarely break focus if we can help it. Old habit. He smiles broadly, motioning you to come forward. Your arrival is unexpected, but my forge is always open to servants of the court. Word has spread throughout the wound. They say the Fatebinder will permit us to live. I am sorry you had to experience Wagstaff. If you had spoken to me, we could have settled things without his insults and tantrums, but I am glad an amicable decision was reached all the same. The wound could be a great asset to you in the future, Fatebinder. We've managed well enough on our own, but someone of your prestige could really help us thrive. If you have the time, I have a matter that could benefit from your expertise. Alright. My help rarely comes free. Nor should it. Your time is valuable. I have little use for rings down here. I would pay you in advance for your work. All the bronze I have, hardly a fortune. But I'll make things worth your time. Because rings don't interest me. Teach me something that would be a better deal. What could he teach? I don't know. Sure. That do it? Fatebinder, you return. Something else you needed? You should need an assistant or something? We don't have the luxury of trading. That's weird. I don't know what just happened. We don't have the luxury of trading with the top side. I could attract the wrong kinds of attention. Instead, we craft what we need. In my case, I can make a wide variety of tools, but I can't make everything. When we were building the forges of Lathan's Crossing, I had access to some of the finest chisels, tappers, and abrasives. I carried only my travel kit with me when I found myself here in the wound. I've been able to craft a few replacements, but to my chagrin, I haven't recaptured the craftsmanship. The knapping tools needed are rather specialized, and I lose sleep knowing I can't replace anything I break. Since I've been missing, I imagine my tools were appropriated by my colleagues in Lathan's Crossing. Lahara will no doubt know of their whereabouts. With my old tools, I can really stay on top of the work that's needed to keep this place running. Alright, I'll speak with her. I'm sure this will be a simple matter for you, Fatebinder. Thank you for your assistance. Alright, how do you deal with Bane? In case you haven't noticed, the beastmen with us aren't your common feral savages. Something about this place focuses them. Whether they come as our workers or on their own, they all eventually become fixated on the Bane. I've seen some hunched over guarding our portals for hours. If any Bane come through, they'd savage them instantly. But apart from the Bane, our beastmen aren't violent. Strange, but welcome. Scratched his chin and thought, I have no explanation. We never asked the beastmen to act as our sentries. They took it on naturally. They have never complained. We do lose some to injury, but so far, the defense has worked. Sure. Alright. Safe journeys, Fatebinder. Alright, did that show what happened up here? Okay. Yeah, there's nothing. It's like that part of the conversation never happened. Weird. Weird. Alright. So now we have two things to do with that. Let's head over. It's called the Bastard Wounds Farm. Head in here. I want to see if this is any place special or if it's just like the start of the
Have a look here.
dungeon.
No dice.
It looks like that's what it's gonna be. There's Tycho. Interesting. Alright. We will explore this and see what we're able to do here next time. So, till next time, this has been Sathios signing out for now. Bye, folks.